It's a Terminator robot.
Why'd you make two versions? Naked or all in leather?
Brian, I don't expect you to be able to understand all the science stuff.
When you're young and fall short of accomplishing a goal, your mom might say, if at first you don't succeed, try again. But what if that goal is matricide?
What are you doing with a gun?
Something I should have done a very long time ago.
Do you keep trying again, no matter how many times and in how many ways your scheme is foiled? Well, let's try to get to the bottom of how Stewie from Family Guy went from a baby hellbent on killing his mother to a snooty English aristocrat who pals around with a talking dog all day.
Okay,
here we go.
Way back in 1999, before Family Guy had a chance to premiere, we saw the impeachment of President Bill Clinton. Michael Jordan retired for the second time, and Y2K had everyone in a panic whether civilization would crumble once the ball dropped. They were simpler times. That's why a football-headed baby with a pseudo-British accent and the sole mission of killing his mom still had some shock value. At the time, it seemed edgy and made Stewie a walking joke in overalls, and that was the point, at least at first. With his half-open-eyed stare, Chucky doll-esque outfit, and unaccounted-for accent, there was a guilty pleasure in watching Stewie devise his psychopathic stratagems each week. Everything from booby traps, laser guns, mind control, glow darts, crossbows, and even death itself. As jarring as it was to see a baby plotting matricide on an animated network comedy, the trope of the constantly thwarted villain mastermind in comedy is hardly fresh. The unintentionally funny villain didn't start with Stewie Griffin. Characters like the Brain from Pinky and the Brain and Dr. Evil had already perfected this formula. Hyper-serious masterminds whose grand ambitions were undercut by their own absurdity. But both were protected by format. Like with any episodic kids cartoon, the Brain's status was reset at the end of every episode. He was never allowed to make any progress, and that was part of the charm.
What are we going to do tomorrow night, Brain?
Same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world!
Meanwhile, Dr. Evil only needed to sustain the joke across a handful of films. Neither character had to fundamentally change to remain funny. That kind of stability is rare in long-running television, where characters are especially vulnerable to flanderization, a process where a single defining trait becomes exaggerated until it consumes the character entirely. Much like everyone's favorite animated neighbor, Ned Flanders, who evolved from a mildly devout neighbor into a caricature of religious zeal. Flanderization has reshaped countless sitcom figures, like Dwight Schrute from The Office became increasingly defined by his rigidity and oddball intensity.
It's true.
While Eric Cartman from South Park escalated from a selfish child into an almost sociopathic force of chaos, Stewie seemed a prime candidate for the same fate. His early characterization was built on a single outsized joke, one that, in a long enough timeline, risked becoming unsustainable. Instead of collapsing into flanderization, though, Stewie gradually moved in the opposite direction. His murderous obsession was softened, then sidelined, making room for a wider range of traits: vanity, insecurity, theatricality, even genuine emotional depth. Where other characters become more exaggerated over time, Stewie becomes more dimensional, more nuanced. That's what makes him unusual, and that's why audiences love him.
Stewie loves Lois.
Brian loves Olympia Dukakis.
Oh, yeah, I do.
However, Stewie did show potential for greater depth and nuance early on. Take for example Season 2's episode, Road to Rhode Island. Stewie is paired with the talking family dog, Brian, who will become his sounding board and best friend in later seasons. In this episode, Brian picks up Stewie from California, and things go from bad to worse, ending with Brian finding the remains of his dead mom and burying her. Comedy gold, right? While this seems right up Stewie's alley, he goes against character and covers for Brian in a rare showing of genuine humanity.
Did you have a nice trip with Brian?
Oh yes, smooth sailing through calm seas.
Then the murder plotting resumed, but for a moment in Season 2, we saw Stewie as a character and not just a plot device. It also showed different shades of comedy that Stewie deftly managed. There was more to Stewie than just murder and posh put-downs, but he simply didn't have the time to fully bloom. Around the same time Stewie started running on fumes in his quest to murder Mommy, Fox moved Family Guy's time slot around due to declining ratings, putting it up against juggernauts like Friends and Survivor. The animated series series had no shot, and Fox yanked it off the air during its 3rd season before the season finale could even air. During what turned out to only be a hiatus, Family Guy's creator Seth MacFarlane developed a new animated sitcom, American Dad, which allowed him to continue growing as a bolder and wiser storyteller. At the same time, DVDs and reruns on Adult Swim were bringing a whole new audience into the Family Guy fandom, and Fox felt the pressure to bring the show back, eventually doing so after 3 years. But like a loved one who's brought back from the dead, Family Guy wasn't the same show it had been before getting axed.
Oh no!
Oh no!
Oh no!
Oh no!
Oh no!
Oh yeah!
The biggest difference was the storytelling. This didn't only allow for a wider spectrum of episode plots and story arcs, it also meant one-dimensional characters like Stewie were able to become more nuanced. It was post-revival in season 4 that the big differences and growth were apparent. First and foremost, the murder storylines went away and became an occasional throwaway joke at most. This opened up a lot more room for other aspects of Stewie's personality to be played out. An example of this is the season 4 episode The Courtship of Stewie's Father, where Stewie bonds with his dad over the shared delight in watching Lois get hurt. No, we're not going back to murdering Lois as a central story area. Instead, Stewie is given genuinely weighty material. For the first time, we see him truly as a child, complete with age-appropriate desires and fears.
Got your nose, little guy.
The show itself was evolving at the same time, leaning more into emotional storytelling and deepening its characters. The version of Stewie from season 1 would have felt out of place, flat and one-dimensional within these later seasons. This more nuanced iteration, however, is strong enough to carry entire episodes on his own. A real turning point for the show and for Stewie's transformation came in season 8, with the bottle episode entitled Brian and Stewie, where the two titular characters get locked in a bank vault and spend the rest of the episode, which plays out in real time, engaging in deeper, more serious, and almost existential conversation.
We live in the moment.
I so don't live in the moment. I'm always, oh, remember that petting zoo? Or I can't wait to go to Florida. I'm never like really present.
The episode begins with an arguably unnecessary lengthy scatological joke, but by the end, the two have discussed Brian's thoughts of self-harm, and Stewie opens up about how lost he would be without Brian. There are genuine and earned emotions in this episode, all because the writers wanted to take a shot at stage play style storytelling. Where the show's evolution and Stewie's transformation became fully realized was in season 13 with an episode called Stewie is enceinte, which translates to Stewie is pregnant. The fully realized and multi-layered Stewie does a full pivot from the first few seasons, where his focus was on ending a life to now welcoming a life, because he is pregnant with Brian's baby, no less. For such an insane storyline to work, it must be dealt with seriously, and the only character who can pull off material with that gravitas is Stewie. Although their relationship was growing over the seasons, here Stewie and Brian are as close as they'll ever be, with Brian having pushed Stewie to talk about such things as loneliness and companionship. Stewie wants a deeper bond, wants something meaningful, whereas in season 1, he tried to kill Lois by hiding a gun in a tuna sandwich. Now that's character growth. As Family Guy matured, so too did the characters. Stewie didn't tap into his emotions just to make some jokes land better. He grew because the show needed him to. Stewie could now become consumed by grief when Brian gets run over by a car and dies, and it didn't need to be treated as a punchline or setup for some set-piece bit. Stewie proved he was able to carry a storyline, even an episode by himself, although he's at his peak when he's with his best friend. What began as a joke about a baby bent on destruction became something far more accessible, a human searching for connection, identity, and meaning. Stewie didn't lose what made him funny, he gained what made him real. He became the kind of character who could grow alongside the audience instead of being left behind by it. And there you have it, the complete maturation of baby Stewie. Do you miss anything about the old Stewie with a single mission? Has he matured too much, feeling like a different character altogether? Let us know in the comments, and be sure to like this video and subscribe to Nerdstalgic so you don't miss what's new and fresh.